Good morning. We start with Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga from the small booklet. From the heart of the Savior of 100 deities of Tushita, on a peak of cloud resembling a clam of extremely white fresh curd, King of Dhamma, omniscient Losandrapa, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me, on a lion throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure Guru smiles with delight. Supreme field of merit for my mind of faith, please abide for 100 yawns to spread the teachings. Your holy mind has the intelligence that understands the full extent of objects to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanations is an ear ornament for those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful with glory renowned. To you who are meaningful to see, hear, and remember, I prostrate. Pleasing drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incenses, lice, scented waters, and so forth. Oceans of cloud-like offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtue of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the three vows that I have collected from beginningless time, I confess each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strove for much learning and practice in this degenerate age, and made your freedoms and richnesses meaningful by abandoning the eight worldly concerns. Savior, we sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect, pure, holy gurus, from the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of Dharmakaya, please let fall a rain of profound and extensive Dharma upon the receptacle of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtue I have collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings, and in particular may it cause the essence of perfect pure Losang Drapa's teachings to shine forever. Sashi Bhaki Chu Shi Me Tok Tramari Rablin Shi Ni de Gembadi Sange Shindu Mi de Uwa Hidrokunamda Shinla Chuparsho. By the merits of having offered this mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa and his two sons, may I, my family members, and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of the victorious one, Losandrapa, who had a morality of eminently pure way of life, was courageous in the extensive conduct of the sons of the victorious ones, and accomplished the yoga of two stages of supreme bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. By the force of having fervently requested in this way, hollow beams of white light are emitted from the hearts of the perfect pure Father and Sons, and combining into one enter my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flows from the opening of tube of white light. cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit harms, negative karmas, obscurations, and their imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. Now we recite 5-line Miktsema 3 times together. Migme tsewe te chen chen re sik, drime gempe wampo jampel yang, dupo malu jonze sawe dak, kanchen gepe tsungen tsongkapa, losan drape shabla solwade. Migme tsewe te chen chen re sik, Drime gempe wampo jampel yang dupo malu jonze sawedak kanchen gepe tungen tsongkapa losan drape shabla solwade. Migme tsewe terchen chen resik Drime gempe wampo jampel yang Dupo malu jonze sawedak kanchen kepe tsungen tsongkapa losan drape shabla solwade. They pray for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche by His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Peerless teacher and assembly of the children of the victorious ones, Shravakas and Pratyaka Buddhas, victorious Losang father and sons, along with the lineage masters, all the objects of refuge of infinite lands, please bestow the virtue and goodness of accomplishing this prayer here and now, holding and spreading the Muni's precious and complete teachings. Through explanation and practice, you wore the armor of patience that is never discouraged. Incomparable Venerable Guru, to you I make request. While striving single-pointedly for the sake of the victorious one's teachings, the sole gateway through which all benefit and happiness emerge, and for mother living beings, you suddenly departed to peace. What a great loss! Nevertheless, through the undeceiving truth of the blessings of the ocean of the three jewels and the great waves of bodhicitta of the children of the victorious ones, may the smile of a reincarnation swiftly beam in a glory for fortunate disciples.
Sangye Jodan Soji Chonum La Chancho Pardu Dan Kyabsunchi Dagi Chushi Jibanda Dag Roland Pish Sangi Drubar Shu Sangye Jodan Soji Chonum La Chancho Pardu Dan Kyabsunchi Dagi Chushi Jibanda Dag Roland Pish Sangi Drubar Shu Sangye Chetan Soji Chonum La Changshu Pardu Dan Kyabsu Dagi Chishi Jeband Dag Rola Benshi Sangye Drubar Shu Kangi Tuzini Zoni Tawa Tamche Pambishi Tambi Chun Denzevi Kodam Tela Changse Lo Shishin Kyongun Javi Lo Kezan Navi Genju Leshi Sutabi Pijalamen Zevi Tonde Tembe Tonde La Changse Namala Yekadalo Donoji Tribunal Me can on the door, Kunjitanum Chazamba Tamjik, Tagichudento. Good morning, everyone. Shopodele.
Shubadile.
Ni never catch it. This gorgeous say Kali shake this.
So it it takes some time to process my brain. It's slowly processing.
Just joke. And tanangan sun nupshok be lawandi manchada leba segorasra. Anzu karsorda ji pyunan desa namadu ani panalendagi chusuk toni xiaondi sem number shibas lagorasra.
So in the West, mostly we use terms like brain. However, in the Nalanda tradition, the equivalent probably usage will be of mind or consciousness.
Tenzata chedan number sanji chodi sem number shibati that number shibi kita karsorda ani namja sartu tengengi ani rigbi shonluk chigda rendo asrata.
So we can say that Buddhism is a kind of a discipline that presents the explanation of mind or consciousness.
Teni talhagdun da tiringanzuta del soyati ani jongyur ani rumbuchi kundun la ya ani sangaki ani che nyamsul la ya juyagi ani chik tablam kanda yome ani ngundru tola ya samla kartangu yome tola ani nganzu tsobara was inza pena sangaki che ani da jawdoji changi songsa namdu ani gyu nalo la ya ani che nesu xiaondi mixer gite ni be ani ndocho ni ani nenga mathen bigi ani sem shindu chabigi ani sem namja tuzda shuji tsar tön sungu yoras ra.
So the main purpose of this weekend is really to give an introduction or orientation about the Vajrayana tradition, which will be a kind of a prerequisite for receiving the initiations from Rinpoche. So in this retreat, we will try to talk about what are the means of entering the path of Tantra and what are the prerequisite kind of thoughts that we should have before entering the path of Tantra Vajrayana. So therefore, as far as the text of Tantra is concerned, the presentation of subtle mind is explained. So there is unique description of mind or consciousness that is not explained in the sutra.
Techi ondi tsawi da number sanjibi tsawi number sanjibi ani sem ra ani leba le ani ngong thawi ani sem namsha chik namsha di tsar tön sungu yores imba ina ya di jinju ge number sanjibi da tumda ma shi chu chungore chik thomi ge karso da chik da number la ya da ani shuk tsam ge da chik neram jora da di nalo la ya ani chira mawa ro 아니 제다마세 다 tum다다 가서다 아 고담마스나 다 담부 텔이 아니 제다마발이야 난세 망부치대야지 딘지기 난생 카시 나라라야 엄부 숙젠바디 율도거린 세마리 세댕이 딘디기 아니 tum다 딘디 요레스 다 딘디야 차차차차 14차 로디기 딘디 엄부 숙젠바디 아 가서다 아니 율 tsawanyi ta tokpa ti shagyo marwasra. Ombula tembi ta namba shibachi mato, pegi yu ombo, ane lugi, ane sukjengi, ane chati di ta, ane yul tokpa ti tsawanyi ta, ane meteba dhuguyo res.
So, as far as the explanation of mind and consciousness is concerned, the Buddhist tenet schools do not propound a physical, propound a consciousness or mind that is in the kind of same entity with brain. However, there are many different, there are primarily 4 different tenet schools of Buddhism. And the first tenet school, known as the Vaibhashika or the Great Exposition School, some sub-schools of Great Vaibhashika School, Great Exposition School, they propound that even the, some physical faculties have the capacity to perceive objects. However, as we progress on the philosophical tenets, the later schools reject this notion of physical faculties perceiving objects. They propound that the physical faculties do not have any kind of potential to perceive objects, but rather only consciousness could perceive objects.
Tenda du si ane tumda shigi ena tan dochol shiawondi tumda mawa shi yunguyo res. Tumda mawa shigi ndutsu dilaya jamba yakbu chebayana ane kowa ting sabrindraya chik. Kowa ting sabrindraya chik. Thar pena oma bat, oma bi nani, oma tat thara nyi chewe, oma thangyuwi ki ta chik ane tadruki ane namsha tadrub tenla pabi ta chik riglam jorasra. Tu sijang tani ta ngoni ki ta chik ane pena chumda mawadan do dambala sobe ane sheshabi ki tawa di ta ngoni ta rigbi lamni ta neba yoba chik ane thong tuya tini yungu yorasra.
So, since there are 4 different tenet schools in Buddhism, and if you could kind of study all the positions of these 4 tenet schools, you will be able to gain a very kind of deep and profound understanding about their own philosophical viewpoints. And gradually, as you progresses, finally you will able to reach and grasp the philosophical schools of Madhyamika school. And within Madhyamika school, there are 2 subsets, sub-schools, the Swatantika Madhyamika and the Prasangika Madhyamika. And the most profound view is that of Prasangika Madhyamika school. And the more you understand the view of the presentation of Prasangika Madhyamika school, you will be able to understand that the philosophical viewpoints of the previous or the lower philosophical schools of thought could, they does not really withstand logical viewpoints. So therefore, you could deepen your understanding progressively.
Ta dini an te gangla dini da sanga ki shong, ta gyu ki shong tu so, zo jawa doji changi song, an di ta gomba dewi ta ane jawa rangi long ten shabi ta gomba ludu tang, leben pabala, ane panden dawa tabala sobe, ane gyu ki ta ane jawa tu so, re and di ta chigi ta yandres and jungle mo songa chimbe zen shabi teni chigi ringa sa den so bata and ngaram chamala soba and do chig jamba ina and hamma teni ta doi kam ni shebi penan doi kapso man tanju bi and kam ni shebi pi ta karso ta chig tawa tenla phabi ge and lo tzo yimba ina ya lo rakpat mato ani onne thani be ani shundu thawi ge ani lo namsha di tini theme ba di tenden khoraya chi yores.
Mhm. And then as we progresses and you know enters or studies the path of Vajrayana, particularly by studying the text of Tantra, root text of Tantrayana, and there's commentaries by Indian scholars, such as the commentaries by Nagarjuna, Aradeva, and so on and so forth. And of course, then the later Tibetan commentaries, such as those commentaries written by Lama Tsongkhapa, the path illuminating the lamp illuminating the 5 stages, or the lamp or the stages of the path to enlightenment, and so on and so forth. So as you study these texts, you will be able to understand that the presentation of mind and consciousness in the sutra is not the most subtlest presentation, but then in the Tantrayana explanation, you will find that the most subtle forms of consciousness of mind is explained in the literature of Tantrayana.
The Zugu the Chikoa the Nengadu Tondi the Muni the Lo Jani and Chik Sem Session Ripata, Muni Gita any Karsava Lo Jangi over Lo Jan be any the Salshan Rikpa say that the cause Samu Shuch. The Nichi in the one is San Gigi or Sadilia and it pick that Peting Court the Ragios.
And then, moreover, as you deepen your understanding of the Vajrayana presentation, then you'll be able to gain a very profound understanding of the transformation of mind, and also the understanding of the the so-called mind being clear and luminous. And not only that, you will also gain a very clear and vivid understanding of the possibility of attaining enlightenment.
The dos John didn't want it, the Jangalam Songa Chimbigita, any Koson took some beyond the letter, Yawan Troyach. Jajadam yours, Tambu Jachan to a Mount Sar Goyata, until then the partition of Tamja Damba Shaptuga, then in Taman Yensenko, the Yams Lenchin, then any Sangi Yoba Dita, any Rilam Tony, any Susu Samlea, Ratretuga. That Namji gave Solea, Diungoras.
So if you kind of study in this manner, then you will be able to really appreciate, or rather inspired by the Lama Tsongkhapa's writings, his exalted qualities of body, speech, and mind of Lama Tsongkhapa, how he kind of progresses on the path. As he mentioned, first he sought extensive learning. In the middle, he perceived all the teaching as personal instructions, and at the end, he put them into practice day and night. So we will gain a kind of very profound understanding of this.
Then he been a hardon to been a Jawadoji Chang song to the dos, Tegarji Janguchona Pe Chabuyorasra. koya pekale khago tini yagar kibi sontuzo tar tong ta chitang jeshi siu shu gyar da pen jangala mo sunga bachi bi sontia lobjong khala kanzan ji machina khaptu ta go chuna pen ringa sa la soba pekale khago ras koya kale khago ras ra tinzan ani jerom chi gi tan da ngaram chim na lo la ya ani gyudeng gu shontuzo hajang gu kokale khago yungures 인자 직피기 롭종 직부 마인바 롭종 직부 마인바 대단 냠도 하다 라말이야 양양 소다베디 아니 맹아 케버젠저스 신도 아니 개치비 내지레스 뭐 딘디진 송요레스라.
So, if we were to kind of read the literature of Tantrayana directly, it will be very difficult for us to understand immediately. And not only that, the later commentaries of Indian scholars and the commentaries by Lama Tsongkhapa, it might be slightly difficult to immediately understand if we do not have some background of this. So therefore, Lama Tsongkhapa has clearly mentioned in his stages of the path to Tantrayana, he mentioned that since the path of Tantrayana is very profound and since it's difficult to grasp intellectually, therefore, again and again, we must pray to one's own guru and the divinity.
There's a kanji that nganzo tensigara ani bin lomba de dawanata number savara the number nambichu tun the longapchu lala madon rogyo marwasra ani and dia roya dia tindi chusul di ani manso nama ani kyabdal roya dish kalakaburo atarwa chidandai kalakazo roga de ya chik ani gyachimbu roya ko Lelawiyo marwasra. Ta duschi nambi laganda anji pigi nambi chuchingin ton di chik lada lama di shu chik keching butsa deado lagdan du zula kana ya leon di dinalo ya chik kusung tu de mambu shu chik ane dik deado zata karina samsung ane sorwa tenden yungur wasarwa ine ya nenga de diresta kusung tu dengi ten tu zo dik chi ane choba pu 아니 지 라마 기위신이 자치무 치야기 균센 딘 타르투나 아니 신두까비 네드조 아니 장기 남주고 돈이 땡라 파비치니 드니 아니 가서다 아니 간지 장기 남주 이야기했다 타르투나 타와드 탐진기비 공바 토비야기 체도 아니 누다 지기어레스 디하 코와이나 덴덴 아단도스 약부르 아samzong다 세나나라 가와고메지 Yunguris, the Gaho Gomtuana, T. Any the Suzula, T. Pengur, Suzu Samgamina, and Derdoya, Jahajang, Sam 2 days, Sam Magiva yon to there to Zoimbaina, Nyor Droil, Gachajatam, Pendo Yunguris.
When you are newly exposed to the Buddhist path, but for instance, in this country, Buddhism is introduced since last 50 years or so within that duration. And so therefore, when you see the, for instance, if you visit a Buddhist temple, you would see lots of the statues, lot of paintings of the deities and so on and so forth. So you might wonder, what is the whole purpose of the statues, and so on and so forth. But if you really, carefully look at the significance of, putting the representation of the Buddha's speech and mind and other statues, they are really meant to kind of help us understanding the most difficult points, and by kind of paying homage to the statues, or by paying homage to the representation of enlightened beings, we will kind of accumulate merit, and over time we will be able to understand the most profound path. And the ultimate goal is, of course, to attain enlightenment. And if you understand the significance of this, then you will be able to appreciate why we kind of do all of this. And when you have that kind of rejoicing mind, you will also accumulate merit. And by this rejoicing attitude, it will also contribute to one's own peace of mind.
semgam kibu yongeti shindun kechim chagorero nambasan gi che imbana tartuk mi ani semgam tsama yongeti sem tsama che dire dasro tinza kanji rangi semgam di detanda sem kibu sem lolo yongyala tabshi yakshu di ani gawagom yeti renda mijila gawagom tuwana mideda ani tani wuchin detu yores chitsog chilaya yakbuj tomwana chitsog dilaya gawagom tu sosu chitsog dinalaya ani kibuchin detu yores rogba sasanji imban sasan dilaya yondenda tela gawagom tuwana tinyamdu chambuchin pama binje imban kola gawagom tuna ani kibuchin detu yorasra gavi loji yewi ni model kana semkom di kibu yores magavi loji ondi gunsen ramada samtan chine ani chi melek bada magavi tola samtan ni temata du ngarzu semkom chugro do asra kibu yo mares.
So therefore, we all aspire to achieve peace of mind, and also that is the whole purpose of Buddha Dharma. So the most effective way to achieve happiness is really to rejoice others' positive or others' virtue. For instance, if you rejoice the positive quality of other individuals, we will be able to live in harmony with that person. And even if you're, living in a particular society or a community, if you appreciate their positive qualities, if you rejoice that, then that positive attitude will help us to live in harmony with that. And not only that, within the the relationship with your partners, or relationship with your siblings, it will also improve if you have a kind of positive attitude, or rather sense of rejoicing their qualities, and so on and so forth. So that is the root of happiness. And the moment you generate that positive attitude, your mind will become peaceful. And the moment you develop some sense of kind of hostility, or the opposite of rejoicing, then it will disturb the peace of our mind.
Tirda gawa gomya dia ko samudang bayana gawa gom tuyach ra samudang bayana gawa gom tuyach chaga yorwas tarwa gyunsenji ra maraj pena mijige ene ngalaya dukja shuj la bayana ani gyunsenji ki tone maga lo gears ngonga dukja shuj la kashin la war samsung ani samlo dus chon tang bayana ani maga lo kene magi ba chayaji di yungro wasra tingansu nyamnyora ta chokchigni ani dukja shuj la bayana akoran samla kan temba di she tugdu ko yagbura samdang chogora tarwa pena chogora koran pena ngandroina samla kan temba di she tugme di 파수 미티 코랑 샘라 칸템바디 셰 투야고 뽑아다 아니 코디 디여바 디타고 약버려스 samdan chogro azra dis samdan bayna mi sosul dugja lange dilaya gavi loch 대시야 더 먹기 좋아서레스.
So here, when we talk about rejoicing others' qualities, or developing a positive attitude towards others, not only it is important, but it's also feasible and it is also possible to develop that mind. For instance, even in the worst case, if somebody, said a kind of abusive word to you, and on one reason, you have every reason to get offended and feel very bad about the language being used to you. But on the other hand, you can also think otherwise by thinking that when somebody said a bad word to you, you could think, oh, he has the courage. At least he has the courage to express what's there in his mind. Many people do not even have the courage to express what's there in their mind. So in that way, you could also appreciate his or her courage, and by this we can also kind of develop a positive attitude in such worse situation as well.
In the chochigni, the kichishudi, rangi semkam di, dagbo jayadi the susugitan gentita yunameno dasra. Rangi semkam chumachugya. Any rangi semkam soya dita, the susu gentita yunameno di dichagores. The semkam yagbu yonyagi, the number sangibu tanganzita, chutoni shabaina. 아니 지 장년지 전주 semla sobo komya 아니 전주 sembe dombalnya 아니 지 디니 시아바는 따지 소더기 domba 아니 지 간지 cam주 domba 순제니 아니 dombalnya 디기 렌체니 아니 마롱위 로 마기비 탑시치야 아니 가진 쉬번 안신기 아니 domba도 소임바이냐 하장 짜침보 라 어딘디 이반지 돌 상로직 단 저바나 아니 샘송 투그레스 지단 샘송에 깔레 가보여다 있느냐 곧 피기 리글람 로지 라바이나 리글람 지라바이나 샘송 투그여레스 홍구 제브 담아두서 랑랑기 샘송 진페 아니 레고서 딱딱 레여러스 먼저 디 리디어 바인자 그 리글람 디 돈은 줘바이나 먼저 송 투그여레스
So therefore, it is really crucial for individual practitioners to guard our own mind, protect our mind from negative tendencies. So it is our kind of most important responsibility to protect our mind from any form of negative catalyst. So not only it is important to guard our mind against negativity, it is also kind of possible to guard our mind and protect our mind from engaging in negative action. We could do so by cultivating positive states of mind, such as loving kindness, bodhicitta, and so on and so forth. And we can also further reinforce these practices by taking precepts and vows, such as individual liberation vows or vows of refuge and so on and so forth. So by taking these vows, it will help us, it will protect us from engaging in negative and destructive actions and kind of protect our mind from negative tendencies. So once we find a kind of a means to protect our mind, guard our mind, we will be able to achieve the positive state of mind. That's how the previous masters have achieved. So if we could also follow the same path, there is no doubt we could definitely achieve the same state as well.
디다응한줄은 겐트 여바난 신긴 겐트 딜랭고르다 겐트 랭온디 샘송야기 아니 탑롬 카리 여바디 더 심벌야 주 샘기 남샤디 다 문진 제투고라도 문진 제다 신도는 기침보다 샘그 남자디 디지온디기 샘그 남자도 순곤초온디 아니 베나타지 남바시고 트루라 소바타 아니 샘드 샘종그다 예와티 그 ngun kowa yung ya chita miki tongja ya dake yo marda ina ya ani kowa raya chi yungu yo resra di tongni siya wande dinda chi nganzu karso da sem magi ba marong wigi ani sem gi rig jo ras di gi rig kain ba di sem pigi gi ani tatsu logba chi kanji tatsu ani shinju loggi ani wanda sondengi gi sem 샤다 차이어레스 딘디 따주 신줄로도 언더송이 샘 카인바디 자마소야기 탑시 탑투바디 아니 신주 말로비기 아니 로디케치네 아니 신줄로기 아니 샘디 세야기 탑시드다 도기니가는 디 디셰거다 탑도는 디셰거레스로
So not only it is our responsibility to guard our mind and protect our mind from negative tendencies, we must also seek the potential means and method to protect our mind and guard our mind. And in order to do that, we must also understand the means and method of doing so. And in order to also understand that, we must have a very deep kind of knowledge about the presentation of mind itself and the presentation of consciousness into the 6 types of consciousness, or the distinction between mind and mental factors, and so on and so forth. So the more we understand about this subtle description of consciousness and mind, it will kind of deepen our understanding, help us to understand that all the problems that we face are really caused by a distorted state of mind. And since such wrong view or distorted mind is the root cause, how do we kind of apply correct antidote to eradicate that? So if to remove a distorted mind, we must adopt the correct state of mind. So by applying or by cultivating the correct state of mind, then that will help us to eradicate the distorted state of mind. So that presentation of eradicating distorted mind is kind of explained in great detail, equally both in Sutra and Tantra.
Tadi imba ta siu beyo resra. Manzu ta namba sanji wi chus la ta nganzu mambu she sara da sanji chus di sem maromba sem shinju logi ri kan imba ani be sebi sebadela da kanji chus direshasra. Sem shinju logi ri delya ani sem nyumumba songin delya. Sem pi ta sem maromba sem tuba chingin delya ani 이차라야 또 간지 뉴무세 디렌도스라 간지 뉴무세 세바디 아니 추레스 딜라 온디다 온네다 지 넘버 산지 비추 디나네 테바치 비추 디 나네 베나상다 도지 테비기 추라야 라위 슬라온디다 아니 샘그 남장 원진 치에다 신도는 계시무 차거레스
So therefore, when we talk about Buddha Dharma in general, Dharma should be understood as a means to transform our mind, means to eradicate the afflictive states of mind, And when we understand that the true meaning of Dharma is the transformation of mind and the total eradication of negative states of mind, then we will be able to understand the significance of realizing and understanding the concepts of mind and consciousness, and and that presentation is equally mentioned both in Mahayana teaching as well as the Tantrayana. So therefore, the presentation of mind is really crucial to kind of understand if we want to eradicate afflictive emotions.
단다 nga ge shong du zun ya de won di pe na dang zu wang bo nga le den bi ane namba shi ba du zo ane shu ji gi ta ane ta me ba ya gi dro ya yo ma res pe na ka sa na wang bo khoran ane lu la den de lu de ka zu gi ya gi dro yo ba ti chu gi wangbo 대점 조그를 마도 류막 고용디 왕보도 고조고요레스 왕보 고발 되니 아니 넘버 10디야 집조고레스 간진 타르치 온디기 아니 참만 가줘야지 마도 옹싱아디 아니 가야 라야 메버지 디어레스다 로디 다 왕보디 조디 아니 가서다 레살을 투다다 로 레살 아니 당이다 신기메다라 레버스라 온디 조베 짜장장 로지 다 드나 짜장장 소리 차고 왔어라서 딘디 짜디 류 차시지로 왔어 먼저 류 디게 차시지게 마도 아니 류 딜베 아니 로스 비길레자지 요 말아 왔다로 딘자 류드마 코온디게 레자랑싱 니 냠로그라다 대치온디기다 아니 비기 가서지 원볼에 땜비 시범 레버 지고지기 비기게 아니 탁주 지고여 봐나 아니 딜리 타르투 비기다 지 넘버 10세지 메나 다드니 아니 상기에서디 미스버지 테니타 도더 규게 그 가주시에서 상월로다 아니 콘둑사 메주소르지 타르투는 다지 아니 가서다 지 벤 간주 단다 무스 통과다 투덤로 슈데라 소바타 지 아니 개왕하시 텐데라 소바투소 간드지 용구에메 남샤 자원이니다 샤모토에 내단지 차고 알았어.
So according to the Vajrayana presentation, there are certain consciousness that is dependent upon the sensory faculties, and since the sense consciousness are dependent on the sensory faculties, and the sensory faculties are in turn dependent on the physical body. So when our physical body deteriorates, the sensory faculty which are dependent upon the physical body will also deteriorate, and then when the sensory faculties deteriorates, the sense consciousness which are dependent upon the sensory faculties also tend to deteriorate. So therefore, if we were to explain the consciousness only from the sensorial level, then their kind of transformation will become very limited, and their progress or their transformation will become very limited, and and if we were to explain the presentation of consciousness from a kind of a brain activity, then also it will become insufficient, because brain is also part of the body, and when the body deteriorates, the brain function also equally deteriorates. And then the possibility of attaining enlightenment and many other subtle presentation will become, they are not feasible in this, according to this presentation. And all the explanation that we find in Sutra and Tantra will also become unreliable. So therefore, the subtle presentation of consciousness is not only confined to the sensorial level of consciousness, but also much more than that. And then if you were to explain such activity or such brain activity and so on and so forth only from the physical explanation, then these days there are practitioners who go into Thukdam meditation, Thukdam state, or the meditation in clear light state after their death. And then there are children who recollect their past memories and so on and so forth. So we can't explain all these instances if we were to explain from the point of view of brain activity alone.
Be let's Zadi Lug the Suvi Chashiris Lawandi, Anzu the corner Tesigra, Anzu Chidangi Nag Shonlaya, any Zagin Namjama Shuch, Salong Namjama Shuch, Sonyores. The Samalo Nalaya, Chitang Ming di said that mean the younger mother. Tenda bed logareshas. Penada Pigi the love the go Umachama Roma said, it's that the zoo, Nanzu Namgu and the Chaksa Dosa Nanshinki, Levik Sananshinki, and it's Sujing Tushabigi, and it Kechachi the Tsawin in Samaris.
So here, when we talk about the activity of the brain and the presentation of wind and channel from the Vajrayana point of view, it is important to make a distinction between the usage of such terms. When we talk about the activity of the brain, we do talk about lots of neurons and so on and so forth. However, when we talk about the presentation of wind and channels from Vajrayana point of view, there is the presentation of central channel, middle channel, upper channel, and so on and so forth. So all these channels should not be seen as a physical neurons that goes through our body, but they are more they're not really literally, they should not be understood as a physical channel.
Dina yang nganzu lulaya the niggers the dindigi chik any and that's uncome namshadi nganzu devi migi lulaya and dindigi karsa taji kanjin nibachik niggers. Things nganzu lud sachimbu imbadi and sachimbu chegoya dita any dindigi tone chik yunguyores. Tigita karsota the nibam the zutoni any tida nganzu samlo nimodi and the samlo shukchimbo tanchini be on shit some gisumandrova yilura gitoni and this piggy you nilulaya and chen samlo down any dindigi any zankam niba yadi namshe the nyam ti yunguyasares takanji any Tindi toneda any namgu gitanganzu and lula yabi tangoni chagda la sobon rosa ki tsalong jora da leba jora onshi nga ki ten che ki ta ani tsalam jora ani duso pha ga che ani phigi ki karso da ji shindu thabi da tsasin lab chawar da duso ani nubad gi ondi tini ani samba dis ta sibu shuch semti yelo de ta sibu shuch 차 아니 되니 지 개원 칸실로 소버 태야도 벨레라고 쇼지 세부 쇼지 용구요레스 다 딘디야 콤팔 드론디 딘디 당원에 타니 아니 초주 겨세도 집어 소순 딩기 남갈 여버 옹송 통야 딘디 아니 개워 담바주 딘디 용구요레스
So the kind of the channels that we are talking about, they abide on our body, and the activation of such channels will only be possible since we take this physical body. So therefore, we must kind of cherish and we must treasure our own body, because this is like a vessel to achieve that. And then it is equally important to make a distinction between the sense consciousness versus mental consciousness. And the sense consciousness are dependent upon the sensorial faculties, and their capacity is very limited, and the transformation is also very limited. However, as far as the mental consciousness is concerned, their transformation is beyond physical sense faculties, and we must kind of try to focus more on the potential of mental consciousness, the understanding of the reality, and so on and so forth, happen at the level of mental consciousness. So therefore, the more we deepen our understanding about the subtle mental consciousness and the presentation of channels and so on and so forth, then our focus should be shift from the sensorial consciousness to mental consciousness. And once we kind of activate more, once we focus more on the mental consciousness, when their fitness should become more manifest, the sensorial consciousness will somehow become dormant, and the sense faculties also become kind of dormant. So in that way, we could gain a clarity of mind. Our mind becomes very clear beyond the sensorial object. And once we achieve that state, perceiving future or past life becomes very easy. And the great practitioner who have achieved that state, they could also perceive enlightened beings without any obstruction.
tadir diz dinji da lo ragba de sora lo ragbe nani lo shinju logi lo ta deso jango rasra ta deso jambala ya deso khal teni yongsa gi ani lu da nga ge nyeju domgo gores tomate lunga gi nyeju domgo gores lunga gi nyeju ji domatu ba na ani tel tembi gi ani ji kanji nyumu tu som gi lo di zawani ni ka to ya tabshi yo mares 다 룽아기 니주 도미야기 제도다 아니 담자 송친 dombaleng kores kyamju domba genye pami domba tenia sodarki pena getsulung domba ani chanju simbi domba ani sanga domba du so domba lenje empe teni karso dachi sususu pe zanga damasund chechinderwa ani kelenche dia pe ani lama jawa seda cheba pe susugi ani kelenche zagun dunla yoba meba che salta dus kelenche ondi semnala ya tamja damazon tempo shuchi chaya jingores ta dini samni te bi ta jingyeju de terror chidi nyeba de terror chidi ani lamsa ngala ya tendi kelembi domba ya sambi ani temba yongya ani di toge ani nyeju dom tu ya ani sarchi dom ni dom du domandi ganzam jila ani 공시 태진 되니 니줄이야 자원이 만주야 템부쇼 차야 된디 늘시든 로고라스더라
So in this way, it is really crucial to eradicate the gross levels of the consciousness and try to focus more on the subtle mental consciousness. And not only that, we also need to eradicate the distorted state of mind and cultivate the positive state of mind. And to do that, of course, we have to first train our body and speech before we train our mind. And the training of body and speech starts by taking precepts and vows. When we take different types of vows, whether it's been, individual liberation vows or vows of celibacy or vows of bodhisattva or whatever vow that we take, the primary object, the primary objective of taking the vow is really to protect and guard ourselves from engaging in negative actions. And when we take the vows, and that will help us to guard. For instance, if you are about to engage in certain negative action, you would immediately remember that you have taken vows, and that by remembering that, it will somehow stop you from engaging in such negative actions. So that's how taking vows could protect us from engaging in negative actions. So that's how we kind of transform our conduct of body, speech, and mind, and how we progress our practice.
제 켈렌 탐자 송야라야 켈렌 탐자 디 아니 템벌 샤고얏 균댕기 따장기 아니 템벌 샤고얏 양양 성당고야디 다 개첨부 쇼지 차고요 반자 당한주 상아 도지 대비기 출을 쇼지네 드니 니마 딱발이야 툰주 라미넨전 된거래 세기 내가 디트레샤스 내가 직 라다 몽바 아니 산디 직성 그왕 슝인 짐바나 아니 툰주 라미넨전 된거래 툰주 라미넨전 된비 거바 가리미 드소 양양 직성 당투바나 답배 개심부 차고레스 로 튼 주컬 데 가산 직슈라 튼 주컬이야 아니 소주길이야 베나 튼 주스라운디 베나 추주시 실이야 시시 참려야 딜리 뒤츠 마로야 잘 추주 찍찍을 섬다나 약슈레스 단초그레스 인지미 주마도 땀 무셔디디 마레스라 어나 지 뒤츠 가지 총나야 뒤츠 가지 총나야 저랑 혈셈 슈다치에 톱당 요리 슈다치나 캡상 요리 펜도 요리 뒤츠 그더니 아니 교보다 아니 타바드 탐지김이 고모톱도야 뒤츠 그때 아니 셴라 펜도치도야 렌 가지 송바 뒤츠 아니 셴라 너체치야데 뇽도거다 아니 셴라 가지 너체 뇽다바 디 셴벤레도다 난 잠블리 나노라야다 지 펜도 체슈드 너체 마지야 너체 칭이 망자네로 수수군의 셴라 너체 마지와디 젬페 약슈지 차고르스 드츠 참아 용고르스다로 domba yoban do sama yungo orsta
So since taking vows could protect us from engaging in negative actions, we must also remind ourselves again and again that we have taken such precepts and vows and so on and so forth. So now, since we are going to take, initiation of Guya Samaja and so on and so forth, and so after that, we're supposed to recite the 6-session Guru Yoga, and the whole purpose of reciting the 6-session Guru Yoga is to make sure we remind ourselves our precepts and remind ourselves, kind of analyze our mind if they are, positive or negative and so on and so forth. So if possible, you can, of course, do the 6-session Guru Yoga within the interval of 4 hours. Between 4 hours, you can do another session. But you can, if you find time, you can do even more sessions. between 1 hour, you can still think about the state of your mind, if they are positive, if they are negative, what's happening inside the mind, so on and so forth. You can still do more. The more we analyze, the more we check our mind over and over again, the more we kind of, gain deeper understanding about if they are positive or if they're negative, and so on and so forth. So by constantly reminding and checking, it will help us to refrain from engaging in destructive and negative actions. And that is the whole purpose and the whole purpose of taking vows.
Samsung yak tabshira da sem manchu yak tabshi ra ani sem manchu yak da ke cheshu de zhe ge da ke cheshu zhe ge yoban za pena nganzu da geni ge dobal лян di ani songja nga na ni da ji chang tong ma cho ya di za ni ni da na wa mes song yo re chom den de da zhidang ma cho ya mixe dindila ya na wa de de pe mang bu yer de ya chang tong ya le ya za wa ni ni na wa mes song yo re kan chang tong na sem chu zhe wo da sem chu ba na ani nie ba gang ga che ge nyen ga yo re 아니 샘 축초고 여바나 다 최제고고 여마다 최제의 샘 만축이 된다 산점된 디 산기는 최대한디 민남기 학던도 민남기 샘 만축이야 샘 만축이 샘 컴펠든 드라이기 체도 최대 여러스라 들든자 샘 축는 디기요 말이 샘 축이 규자 가리는 디 빵고거리 까고거 딘자 창통야라 나머지 메시지 내가 될 두고레스
So by taking such vows, we must kind of protect our mind from engaging in destructive and negative action. And for instance, by taking vows, we also should abide by the precepts they explain. For instance, if we take the precept of lay practitioner, the one precept is to refrain from drinking any form of intoxicants and alcohol. And Buddha has strictly advised that there is no exception for that. We must all refrain from drinking alcohol and taking any other form of intoxicants, because when we take intoxicants or when we drink, then we lose the clarity of our mind, and that is exactly the opposite of the practicing Dharma. The whole purpose of Dharma is really to gain clarity of our mind, and which means we should refrain from any form of action that will ultimately cause the disturbance of mind and losing the clarity of mind. So therefore, we must try to get rid of all the causes and catalysts that will contribute for the disturbance of mind, and so on and so forth. So that is the ultimate purpose of taking precepts.
데르다 domba송에 템바템부 여반 dom바디다 송도 니주 dom도라다 니주 dom바이나 아니 가르서다지 셈마로만 셈 추바디 아니 뇽르트 거라서 다 dom바송 토야기 탑시 지디 깜로 데레샤스 깜로 디앙 뒤딱 동안부터 산지 추겐데 쟁거를 세죠라다 쟁거를 Pena sanji yonden di yakbu, kusun tusun yonden di yakbu, sam tubayna, mixi teba kiyach. Ani chug yonden tonya, ani gende yonden tonya da, ani disum pandu tsugni, ani kenen tamja cheshaya di, za chenbu shujin tong tugrezda. Rangazu da, kabkala da, sosuya ki 아니 고마츠 미 앤 디시즈 키마지디 비기 아니 탐바지 돈바지 랭그리 이나야 견댕게 따디 쇼지 짜치 모임바지 샘날이야 소라메디 아니 간주 참삼 토쇼도 거라스라 man sam ji bar ra imba ngoni river dream ta to sound ta ba na an cha chi mu shu imba di 통그레스 아니 예저돔 투그레스 아니 테니 디기다 시자체체네 아니 셈마로이 로디타 다 가야기 탑시 제고다스
So, by taking precepts and vows, they will protect us and guard us from engaging in negative action. And although there are many different kinds of precepts, the precepts of going for refuge to 3 jewels is equally important. And after taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we must reflect the qualities again and again, the exalted qualities of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. The more we reflect about the good qualities of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the more we kind of, we kind of feel, we develop more faith and respect towards them by understanding their exalted qualities. And the more we think about their exalted qualities, the more we'll be able to cherish the precepts that we take. And otherwise, sometimes we tend to take precepts, and after that, if we are not very sincere about that, we may not be able to follow accordingly. But the problem is we are not fully understanding and appreciating the significance of taking precepts. So if you have a very clear understanding and of the significance of taking such precepts, we will consider it with utmost importance, and accordingly we will also kind of try to abide by the precepts that we take.
랑안즈다 산지추 겐둥기 연denke 하마고 와이나 연den 하마고나 셈날 통칭부 제투고 말아서라 제투고 말하다 셈날은 통칭부지 매와이나 안 디pandu 주니 아니 켈림비 담자디야 짜칭부 제투고 말아서라 데니 켈림 담자 제바이나 담자도 쇼드야긴데 냥가 빼요레스
So therefore, if we, do not have a clear understanding about the exalted qualities of Buddha, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we won't appreciate enough. We won't feel kind of moved or inspired enough by their qualities. And then if we are not deeply inspired by their exalted qualities, we may not be able to cherish the precepts that we take based on them. So therefore, we must cherish their exalted qualities.
Tinza penangazuta demba kadu demba ina roji karit soba ina demba deondi thoma delaya ani jamrun dengores kejimbu shoji tijbi nyamne kharit chigiyo ba ina ani nimachilaya pena tipe sandin jigsam dagi chame dendenge bane go jamru semge la ba ina chogad mansama chadores chamansam go meje chadores 디 가르스라운디 개체슈디 짜와 디드니 차고연자 아니 디 고고레스라 고jamru 셈기 다른 거와 고고레스 고jamru 셈기 디케우 충글람 고츠번니 치는 고 아니 jamru 고르마도 아니지 야 베나 상가 도지티비 람라 쇼온디 아니 jamru 치무고 딘지 싸우니요 말레스 간지 란 상마기 버도 아니 상길이야 겹수 조고 버렸어.
So whatever the recitation that we do, it will start by the refuge practice, and if we kind of do not include the refuge presentation, refuge practice, our recitation will become incomplete. Even if you are doing a recitation on the self-generation of any deity, and if we miss the refuge part, then our entire practice become incomplete. So therefore, the refuge practice should be there, starting from the practice of small capacity up until the practice of Vajrayana. So therefore, refuge is equally essential in all these stages.
Tigdina be sewu shugar da be sewu shugar sira. Di ngal dir da wang shuyale metamegi da yangla kechi shi chigdi kyamru chagor da sira. Ani sangi chodan choji chonumla chanchu pardu dan kyabsu chisaya tsigan yichi da sira. Di tsigdi. Be yagbu sonda. Chanchu pardu dan kyabsu chisila. Tutsu du tyengu da sira. Tutsu kadu pardu kena ani kyabsu njogi yin sila na. chanchu mato varda nga kyab sunro yis. Laundi ta tu tawda ta, rwa, sang magi bawda ta nyin tsen, ane kaddu ina, ane sangi la kyab sunro yis. Sangi la kyab sunro wala ya, sangi tengo warada, semla, tangi kaddu ina, pa majewa chigi segi, ane tu kaddu ina nge, ane semla la ya, sangi, ane majewa chigi segi, ta tsued chagdo asarwa.
So therefore, the refuge is essential for taking any initiation or precepts, and usually when we recite this verse of refuge, the verse reads like, I go for refuge to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha until I attain a complete enlightenment. So this word, the usage of the term until I become enlightened, until I attain complete enlightenment, it shows the time. So the point is that until you attain complete enlightenment, you will go for refuge to Buddha and Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So meaning we must remember and recollect the quality of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha until we get fully enlightened.
Ngemanga gemiji drum shisara. Ngadi ichi shule sa kenza. Iji shu ku janan la gomba jila chawa jorisa. Chawa di ji ani namyu gom gaya rawa da tenji ku lobjon yongi ki re mdo da. Ina ko da gomba tsama su gomba de dawa jo gomba tsama su dawa gomba la ke ke tsama su dego res. Imba ina ku kaddu ina sanjila kyabsu sanjila kyabsu sanjila kyabsu. Kaddu ina ku lamni dogo resa. An tamako be ani sanji ki shesiya ani ko madrong ko be sanji ki shesiya da be ani chong di be ani yamsen bu shoji ne ko chong do resa. Tingi jacha jata ma nga jacha jata ma da dindi da lorgi khashi ju nga semla ani shoji be da jacha jata ma din sare sa so shoji yesra. Bena pawa tome ki judun chamgo dubiya ki lorgi judwa. Ra pawa tome ki da dub chini manjini tarpene ani nyam tabi da kichi tondi tela ya tse mebi ini ninji ki ondi ani di tob ki da sonam zo chini dini judun chamgo jaya lorgi tuzu ngoni da jasha jata ma ingiris nga di ichi chigi yes ra.
So Chinese friend once told me an anecdote about a monk. It's a monastery somewhere in China, probably. So that monk was not, he was just taking care of the monastery. He would clean, do the, daily activities required for the monastery and so on and so forth. So, however, he would always recite the verse, I go for refuge to Buddha, I go for refuge to Buddha. He recited this verse for his entire life. And then, in fact, later part of his life, people say that he had a very clear vision of Buddha. And not only that, when he passed away, people have seen many auspicious kind of signs when he passed away. So I think these things are really possible in certain cases. And another anecdote is, of course, how Asanga tried to kind of meditate and had a vision of Maitreya Buddha. So he tried to have a vision of Maitreya for a very long time, but he could not. And then later he saw um, uh, a injured dog, and there, because of the condition of that injury, it developed he felt deeply compassionate to this poor dog, and that compassionate triggered him to have a vision of Maitreya. So these instances, I think, are definitely feasible in certain cases.
Tenzada, Tuzu Nengares, Tuzu Nengarda, Nenga Chishu Duzutiri, Bena, any, they say come to lunch. What should you do? Ding ding dansa. Tuzu Nengares, Nenga is a Sanji Tengoya, the Nengares. The Sanji Tembi Tabshila Karchi or Sosu Desalea, Kusum Tuten to the Dix, Sanji Kundajimatomena, Tiavucia, Sham, and Didil Chobo Piatia, Nimatagwa, Sosu Chobo Pugoya search it, and Chobo Piondi, Kopi Jegua, Jeondi, and Malam Jayaji Yungora, or the Dita Tabshi Nam in Hatso Goni, and Sanji Tang, Tabshi Chigures. Then Australia na tabji chig da pena lamga Australia sha da sanju gondro sha the disu tabji de ya bu sha da mando sel kenza toma deli de nga kunja kyuni gibu me gyorochi disu tongra taina mi komshi dugja de na komshi komro ta tanda din ngema nansing so de me gyorochi be dugja cha sha sra.
So therefore, it is really important to reflect the good qualities of Buddha, remember Buddha. And in order to do that, in order to constantly kind of remind us about the exalted qualities of the Buddha, we must, arrange the statues and so on and so forth. So by seeing the statues and by making offerings to these statues, this act will constantly remind us about the exalted qualities. So therefore, putting statues will help us to remember the exalted qualities. But in some places in Australia, they somehow put the statue of Buddha in the garden or near the door of the toilet. So these, it's maybe a wrong way of putting them. And I felt very uncomfortable when I first witnessed that, when I first came to Australia. But over time, now I'm getting used to see Buddha statue being placed at some inappropriate locations.
Go lunch.
Yes.
Sanjo Rinpoche, Make Panam Kegyuchi, Kepa Nyampa Me Payang, Gone Gondu Pelwarsho. Thank you very much. The next session will be at 1:30 p.m. question and answer. Thank you.